Hello, so what I'm going to show you in this very brief video is one of the tools that I really like for students or others that are either trying to find an occupation or for those that are maybe working on their resumes and their cover letters. This resource here called ONET Online, and you can get there, as you can see at the top there, onetonline.org. It's a website done by the U.S. Department of Labor, and it has a lot of information about different types of occupations. So as I said, I think there are really two uses that this is for. One of them is, career exploration. So if you're thinking, well, what are the skills involved in this type of work? How much education or training am I going to need? What's the outlook? Is there a lot of job openings? Where are those job openings? All that information will be available here. So in career exploration is one use case, and the second use is those people who are putting together their resumes and cover letters because with this occupational information, it covers things like duties and skills that you use on the job. So that type of information may help you to come up with the wording that you might want to put on your resume, or just ways of expressing or remembering what types of tasks or what kinds of skills that you used on your job. So first, there's a lot of information here on this one page, and I don't have time to go into all of it. So if you'll actually see another webinar that I'm doing actually on career exploration, you'll see a little bit more detail. But for now, I just want to show just a couple of things. So let's say, for example, that you're thinking that you might want to be a nurse. So you go in and type in here, you can type in nurse, and then the search results here, you can see what it is that matches. You can actually see some related occupations too. So even if it doesn't have nurse in the title, you can see other occupational titles that come up. But let's just say that you're saying nurse, and you're like, oh, okay, well, look at what you're learning. There's different types of nurses, right? Informatics nurse, acute care nurse, nurse midwives, nurse practitioners. But let's just say, let's keep it simple and say, well, you know what? I'm thinking of entering NPCs, nursing programs, and to become an RN. So let's go ahead and click on registered nurse, and you'll get all kinds of information. So here at the very top, you'll see a quick description on what this occupation is. And you'll also see here a list of different titles. So, they might call it a charge nurse or a school nurse or all these other kinds of variants. So all these different titles here are included under this registered nurse here. Okay, so, and this could also help your job search because maybe you want to search for different occupations using these terms here rather than just registered nurse. So that's something to think about. As I said, this website has so much information, and I'm only going to cover a few things. So let's say, you know what, you're thinking of entering the nursing program. You think, you know what, I think I might want to be a nurse when I grow up or whatever. So here you can go through, you can see the different tasks, technology skills, knowledge that's involved. Okay, but you can go ahead and read through all that. Uh, here I like to look in this section too, where it says job zone. So here it'll tell you how much like training or education you need. So this requires medium preparation. So with medium preparation, that means usually an associate's degree or some sort of certificate or apprenticeship after high school. So it's probably going to require at least a year, maybe 2 years when you see medium job zone 3 medium preparation needed. So it means post high school. Okay. And you can come down here and actually see what the education is of those people who are registered nurses. So if you scroll down here, you say like, well, you know what, maybe I'm not sure I want to be a nurse. So here you can see under related occupations, different types of related occupations. So maybe like respiratory therapist, or maybe different types of a nurse, or maybe an LPN instead of an RN. Okay, so another thing here, you can come down, you can see wage and employment trends, But let's say you're like, well, you know what, maybe I don't want to be a nurse, but I want something in healthcare. All right. So what you can do, one of the things you can do is you can see here, well, one of the top industries that employs nurses, unsurprisingly, is the industry called healthcare and social assistance. So if you actually click on that, you're going to see a list of all kinds of different occupations that are in the healthcare and social assistance industry. So you can just scroll down if you want. Um, Here, let's look at some examples. So maybe you see something like, oh, you know what? Maybe maybe I want to be like maybe a dietitian, okay, or a health educator, or a chiropractor, or an audiologist. And so maybe those pique your interest. Maybe you don't know anything about them. Maybe you've never heard of them before. That's fine. Go ahead and click on that, and you'll find some information. Okay. So the other use case I want to show is, let's say that you're putting together your resume and you're having some trouble coming up with sort of the tasks or the skills involved in that occupation. So let's say, you know what, you were like a cook at Denny's or something like that. You're like, well, everybody knows what a cook at Denny's does. And that's kind of true. Um, but, if you go ahead and actually look under that occupation, you might there might be some descriptions there on the skills and the tasks that you did that you might have forgotten about, or maybe just ways of actually wording it that'll help you out. So you enter cook, and here there's all kinds of different cooks here. Cooks fast food, cooks restaurant, cooks short order cooks, chefs and head cooks. Okay, so let's just say, okay, you were like at Denny's or something, so you were a cook at a restaurant. So click on that. Um, so if you look under here, like tasks, see the different tasks. Maybe on your resume, you forgot to include some of these tasks that you did. Maybe uh, there's some technology that you use. So maybe you actually used menu planning software. Maybe you didn't, but maybe you did. That might remind you of that. Also, the knowledge that was used. So obviously food production, right? But also customer and personal service. Maybe you didn't quite realize the amount of customer service involved when you were a cook. Um, so here's the other types of skills. So monitoring, obviously, active listening. So these are maybe terms or keywords you might want to use on your resume or in your cover letter or when you interview for that job. You might want to emphasize, hey, I'm a great active listener, or I'm really good at coordination and coordinating. All right. Because one of the things, besides just reminding you of what tasks that you've done or what technology or what skills and abilities are involved in that job, well, guess what? These are actually the skills and the abilities that are important for that job. That's why they're listed here. So if you want, a position, another cook position, for example, you want to make sure that you emphasize these skills and these abilities. Of course, assuming that you have them, right? But obviously, the employer is probably going to have their antenna up, trying to listen or trying to discern. Oh, okay, does this person have good customer and personal service skills? Is this person a good listener? Are they good? Are they good multitasker? Are they good at coordinating? Okay, things like that. Um, and so again, so let's say that you're like, well, you know what? I used to be a cook. So this is going to career exploration. So let me jump back to that. So let's say, you know what? I'm tired of being a cook. It maybe doesn't pay enough, or I don't know, whatever. Or you're just like, but I want something related to that. I felt like I was good at that. What other types of occupations? What other types of jobs? Are related to that or in that same industry. So here you can see under related occupations, right? Oh, butchers and meat cutters. Oh, maybe you never thought about that as a possibility. Okay. Another thing you can do, again, if you come under wages and employment, you can see top industries, accommodation and food services. So you can click on that and you can see what other occupations are in that same industry and browse through. Ooh, bartender. Um, uh, Bakers, I mean, um, other types of occupations. So, again, this is a lot of information here on this website. Most of it, obviously, I didn't cover, but this is a very good resource for you to either just explore different careers, just point, click, follow the links, or to maybe remind yourself about the different skills and knowledge and tasks that are involved in previous jobs that you've had that will help you build out your resume. All right, well, thanks for listening.